The world of Thomas and Friends has a massive cast of characters. Some really good, some really bad, others being Billy. Oh, come on, man. I'm just playing some Fortnite here. You gotta throw me under the bus like that? But we're thankfully not talking about Billy today. Instead, I want to talk about character pairings in this franchise that never happened. Some that are pretty obvious, honestly, that they never touched on in the TV show. So think of this like a top 5-ish of sorts. They're not exactly ranked on most wanted, but just ones I think would be interesting to see, and ones I'm also surprised never actually happened. I'm also kind of gonna come up with like a general episode. That was kind of my idea for this list. If I could think of a general episode that would be fun with these two character dynamics, then that would be the obvious sign to me that this is a pretty obvious pairing that I'm surprised didn't actually happen. So, yeah, let's just get started. So at number 5, we have George and Bulgi. I think this is a pretty popular one. I've seen quite a few fan videos over the year that pair these two up. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised they never thought to do this one. They're both very funny, they're both very aggressive, and they both despise the railway. For me, the idea between these two was pretty obvious. Considering how much they both hate the railway, why not see them both try to actively sabotage it? I mean, it's not completely out of character for either of them to do this at all. I don't know, maybe Bulgi, for example, gets to stations early and takes the passengers away from the engines, while George maybe blocks their path by steamrolling over it with some tar and stuff. I think there could just be some fun banter between the two, consistently complaining about how bad railways are. Maybe engines like Gordon and Duck are just so annoyed with them, they have to consistently report them atop them, but they're able to kind of like sneak away at any instance that looks kind of dangerous on their behalf. And I could imagine the two having a fun come up at either a major crash, or maybe they even get into an argument with each other that like breaks their alliedness. I don't know. I'm surprised this one never happened within the TV show, because they're so similar, but their personalities could clash just differently enough to be really fun. I really want to see an episode like that. Now for this next pairing, this one kind of came to me because I realized a character who negatively was harmed by the fact that Thomas had to be in every Hit Era episode basically, and had their like main character role kind of ruined, was Dennis. I feel like Thomas's day off just didn't need Thomas there. Instead, what if Daisy was there? Like, Daisy saw this lazy engine using some of the same tactics she would use to get out of work she wouldn't want to do, but instead of Thomas being gullible and dumb and doing it, Daisy sees right through Dennis's bullcrap. The story could have that kind of tendency of Daisy looking at Dennis as a reflection of who she used to be, that lazy engine who just wouldn't do work. And she's just like, you want to get kicked off of Topham's Island? Go ahead. And maybe that's something that causes the inciting incident. Daisy does try to help Dennis, and maybe gets Dennis to start working a little harder. Topham hears about the incident that causes the delay, and he's like, I send lazy engines away, Dennis. And maybe Daisy pumps in and, hey, he did some pretty good work, I swear. And Topham's like, well, considering Daisy does put in a good word for you, I will give you another chance. Honestly, I did give it some quick thinking, and I really think this would be a fun character pairing, and I would really love it if the show actually did it, but too bad Thomas has to hog all that spotlight. Now, I actually thought about Season 7, and I'm kind of shocked they never did this pairing, James and Arthur. Really think about it. James is this snooty red engine who thinks he's better than he actually is, and Arthur is this person who initially had a pretty high opinion of himself and thought he had to be kind of this perfect, grandiose engine because of his spotless record, but after Thomas forced him into the improper life, he started to become one of the boys, wasn't afraid to get dirty, and found more passions outside of just being the perfect engine all the time. So why not have James kind of comment on him doing all this dirty work, being like, a prim and proper engine like you doing this stuff? Ah, what rubbish. And Arthur's just looking at him like, I don't know what you mean. Work is just kind of fun when you love doing it. Pah, if it's not passengers, I'm not interested. I don't know, maybe it could go into a fun thing of James trying to make Arthur as prim and proper as he likes to think he is, and then maybe he gets into like a fishy accident and Arthur helps him or something like that. I don't know. I think this would be a really fun pairing with some really cool interactions, and in retrospect, I'm surprised they never did this one. This one just seems like it writes itself. I really like the idea of these two together. Now this is another one I'm just 100% shocked we never got. Donald and Douglas and Bill and Ben, the big twins of it. We got the twins that cause harm and the twins that take no nonsense. And how have they not done this? I can literally think of a perfect story between the two. Maybe Edward and Boko are away from the Sodor clay pits, and Donald and Douglas have to work with Bill and Ben. Bill and Ben consistently playing tricks on the two. It annoys them to the point where they mess with them hard with another trick of their own. However, maybe it goes too far, and both sets of twins just have a big ol' laugh about how wild each other's can be. Like the previous one, it just seems like an idea that really writes itself. And I'm honestly kind of sad we've never actually gotten to see a TV interaction or a Railway series interaction between Donald and Douglas and Bill and Ben. I think this could be just a really fun kind of bond and dynamic to keep throughout the franchise. But, well, it is what it is. And for the last choice, I think this is a pretty obvious one. And in retrospect, how did this not happen? I mean, I feel like I say it for every single one of these, but really, in Edward and Toby's case, how have we not had an episode about the two together? To me, an idea I would have is pretty simple. Why not have it be at Knapford Station, Thomas, Percy, Philip, whatever engine, you see one of them being a little rough and maybe a bit reckless, and maybe a little accident happens. Edward goes in right away to help out and guide the engines to how to do it properly. Maybe Toby sits in the background just laughing. Edward's like, what's so funny about a little accident? And then Toby goes, well, they're never gonna learn if you keep babying them like that. And Edward's like, I'm not babying them, I'm just trying to guide them to be a little better. Babying, guiding, what's really the difference? And maybe this gets on Edward's nerves, and he's like, well, I know my mentoring skills are not perfect, but you can't tell me that just sitting there and letting them fail is really a better decision. Oh, you think so? And throughout the day of work, a lot of argument goes on between the two when they are stumbling across the young engine struggling. Maybe Toby's just like, just let him fail. He'll not learn if he doesn't. And then Edward's like, no, I gotta help him. And it consistently becomes like a problem. Maybe Topham even intervenes, and he's like, of all the engines to cause any problems, I never thought it'd be you two. And maybe both feel kind of silly about it. And then maybe you could have at the end, have them interact with, say, Skarloey, who's kind of like another old engine, who's kind of the in-between of Edward and Toby. Maybe he can be like, well, there's merits to both, but whatever works for you is what works. And Edward and Toby look at each other just laughing, like, with the realization that they went too far. I honestly really want to see these two interact. They have such similar personalities, yet the very little differences I think would make the clashing between the two really fun. And I really hope that they do have something like this for like a future Thomas show. But yeah, these are 5 character pairings I really would like to see within this franchise. Thomas and Friends, I think, always has had some really fun character interactions and banter, and I feel like having any of these happen, at least for me, would be really fun and entertaining. I'm sure there's a lot of fan projects that have probably done similar plots or identical ones. I swear if there have been, I have not seen any of them. So if I ripped anyone off, I am sorry. I did not know. I swear. But yeah, tell me in the comments below if you have any fun Thomas character pairings. If even you've got a little plot description like I gave for each of these, please share it. I'm really curious what character pairing ideas you all have. Thank you all for watching so much. And hey, look at that. We're getting so close to 1,500 subscribers. Just saying, we're also getting close to 2,000. Imagine how cool it'd be. You know, if I hit 2,000, I'll probably do a Q&A. You know, kind of basic, but I don't really have any other video ideas for when I hit the milestone, but I want to do something. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and hope to see you all in the next video. Take care.